All right. The first conic section that we're going to talk about is a circle. So we all know what a circle looks like, okay? But in order to write the equation of a circle, you have to have the center and the radius. And in the introduction to conic sections, 10-1, we talked about how to find the center and the radius. Remember, the center is halfway in between 2 points on the circle, and the radius is the distance between the center and a point on your circle. All right? So the equation of a circle, and it's really important, and it will make things a lot easier on you if you understand how equations are made up of the different conic sections. So this is the equation of a circle. You have x minus or plus a number, y minus or plus a number. Both of them are squared with a plus sign in between, and then you have a radius squared out here. All of the other conic sections, except for parabolas, have equals 1, okay? The center is always at HK. Notice, if H looks like it's negative, it's really going to be positive. If K looks like it's negative, it's really going to be positive. And then R is your radius. So whatever this number is out here, you have to square root it to get your radius. So if you're writing the equation of a circle and they give you the radius, you have to square it. So right now I am given the center and the radius. Notice I already told you that to write the equation of a circle, you have to have the center and the radius. So I'm given everything that I need. So this represents my H, and this represents my K, and this, of course, is my R. So when I write the equation, it's going to be x minus 2, and then I square that. I always have a plus. Y minus 1, and I square that. And that's equal to my radius squared, so 5 squared is 25. And there's the equation of my circle. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. So take a look at number 2 here. All right, we have our center, we have our radius. So I get x minus, plug in the h. That'd be 4 squared plus y minus, plug in the k, 2 squared equals the radius squared. So 7 squared is 49. There's the equation of my circle. All right? Do a couple more. Center is at -3, 4. Radius is at 6. I have everything I need to write the equation of my circle. So I say x minus, and then I plug in -3 squared plus y minus, plug in my k, 4 squared equals r squared. 6 squared is 36. This is a double negative. That becomes a positive. So this would be x plus 3 squared plus y minus 4 squared equals 36. All right? Something to think about. If this is a negative, it's going to end up being a positive anyway. So if you want to go ahead and just change the sign, that's fine. You can think of it that way as well. All right, and one more. So I've got x minus 0 squared plus y minus 0 squared equals radius squared. 6 squared is 36. It is improper to leave x minus 0. If you take x and you subtract nothing, you're left with x. So this is just x squared plus, this would just be y squared equals 36. And let me tell you, if you leave the x minus 0, I'm going to count it wrong. Okay? At this point in the game, you should know what to do there. All right, so there's 4 examples of where you're given the center and the radius. Now let's look at one where you're not given all of the information. So let's think about this. You've got your center at 2, 4, and you have a point on your circle. So let's say you have center and a point on your circle. To write the equation of a circle, you have to have the center, you have that, and the radius. All right? Right now, the radius is the distance between the center and the point on your circle. So you need to find the distance between these two numbers, and you have a formula for that. You have a distance formula. Okay? So just to recall that, that's where I take my x's and subtract them and square. And I take my y's and subtract those and square. And then I add those two together and take the square root. All right? So what you're going to do is you're going to plug in. So let's just make this the x1, y1, and we'll make the point the x2, y2. And this is going to find my radius. So the radius is equal to the square root of 2 minus 8 squared. So x's, subtract those square, plus, now I'm going to subtract the y's, 4 minus 12 squared. And you can just plug that underneath part in your calculator, all right? You're going to get 100. And if you square root 100, you get 10. So your radius is 10. Your center is 2, 4. Now you are ready to write your equation. So you've got x minus, plug in your h, which is 2 squared, plus y minus, plug in your k, squared, equals your radius squared, so 10 squared, which is 100. By the way, your radius squared will be whatever it was before you square rooted, all right, which comes in handy later when you don't get a perfect square, okay? So if you always think of it as what it was right before you square rooted, that's the number that's going to be right here. All right, so again, I'm given another center and a point on my circle. So I don't have my radius. I'm going to have to find the radius. And to find the radius, that's the distance between the center and a point on my circle. So I will square root. I need to subtract my x's, so negative 3 minus 9. And I'm going to square that. Plus, subtract my y's, 5 minus 10. And I will square that. You're going to get the square root of 169, which is 13. So now I have my radius, and I have my center. So if you notice, this h value, okay, or your x, whatever you want to call it, is negative. So when I plug it in, it's going to be positive. So this will be x plus 3 squared plus y, this is positive, it will be negative, so y minus 5 squared equals your radius squared, so that would be 13 squared, which is the same thing as the 169. And that is how you write the equation of a circle. Okay? So let's look at this problem. We've got Raul and his friends, and they're having a pizza party, and they're going to decide where to have the party based on the delivery area of the pizza restaurant. So we're going to suppose that the pizza restaurant is at the point negative 1, 2. Now, by the way, this is not the pizza restaurant. This is actually a house as well. I don't know why they put a dot there, okay? Anyways, this is well, that might just be the pizza restaurant. Okay, I take that back. It's just a pizza restaurant, okay? So here we go. Here's the pizza restaurant. And it says, the letters represent homes of Raul and his friends. use the equation of a circle to find the houses that are within a 3-mile radius. So in other words, 3 miles. So if you think about this, if every section is a mile, this would be 1, 2, 3 miles, 1, 2, 3 miles, 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3. All right. And if you drew you a little circle here, which let's face it, your circles are not going to be perfect. Oops. I mean, look at that. That really stuck. Okay. If you look at this circle, it's not going to be great. And it's not going to be perfect. But it's pretty obvious that D and B are both within a 3-mile radius. Okay? But I don't know about C. C is kind of like on there, and it might be, but it might not be. I'm not really sure. Okay? So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to write the equation of the circle. Okay? So this is the center. So I would have x plus 1 squared. And then I would have plus y minus 2 squared. And then my radius is 3 squared. And the reason I didn't put an equal sign is because I need to know if it's less than or greater than instead of equals, because I want everything inside the circle. So inside the circle is less than, outside the circle is greater than. So I would do less than. So I want to know if this point is going to work. This point right here is 0, negative 1. So let's say that I plug 0 in for x right here. So I have 0 plus 1 squared. And then I'm going to plug negative 1 in for the y. And this is actually 9, right? So if I work this out, okay, I'm going to get 1 squared is 1 plus negative 1 minus 2. That's negative 3 squared, which is 9. So I get 10 is less than 9. Is 10 less than 9? No. So C is not less than my circle. It's actually going to be on the outside. Therefore, the only places that can get free delivery would be house D and house B. All right? Now, this next thing that we're going to talk about is a little bit different. All right? And it can be confusing if you're not paying attention. There's a process. Okay? So we're going to learn about tangent lines. So tangent means like right next to. Okay? And so when we talk about a line that is tangent to a circle, that means that it hits that circle at exactly one spot and then continues on. All right? The other thing to know about that is the center of your circle. All right? If I drew this line, okay, it is perpendicular, this line is, to your tangent line. That means it forms a 90-degree angle. So they want you to write the equation of the line that is tangent, that would be this line, to the following circle at the given point. All right? So here's the thing. In order to write the equation of a line, you either have to know the slope of that line and a point on that line, or 2 points on that line so that you can get the slope to write the equation. So right now, they're going to tell us that this is on our circle and this is the point at which it's tangent. Okay? So let's draw us a little picture here. So this is saying, okay, you got this point and you got a line that's going to hit that point right there. All right, so the point is on the line and the circle both. All right, in order to figure out this line, the only thing you know about this line is that you have this point. You don't know the slope. You don't know another point. But they do give you the equation of this circle, and you can figure out the center. So if you look, the center, obviously, since there's nothing with the x and y, the center is going to be at 0, 0. So I know that the center is 0, 0, and I know that this point is 3, 4. So I need to figure out the slope of the radius, because this is what I know. I know that the radius and this line are perpendicular. And the thing I know about perpendicular lines is that they are opposite reciprocal slopes. So if one has a slope of 1/2, the other one has a slope of negative 2 over 1. So you change the sign and you flip it. Okay? So since we know 2 points on this radius line, okay, we'll call this the radius line, I can find the slope of that. Okay? So let's find the slope. So step 1 here is that you are going to find the slope of the radius. So find slope of radius. Okay? So slope is you subtract your y's on top and you subtract your x's on bottom. This is some algebra 1 for you. All right? And that's represented by the letter M. Okay? So I would rather do 4 minus 0 than 0 minus 4. So we will do 4 minus 0. And if you do 4 minus 0, then you also have to do 3 minus 0 on bottom. So that gives you a slope of 4/3. Now here's the thing. If you know that the slope is 4 over 3 for your radius, and you know that it is perpendicular to the tangent line, then you're going to figure out your slope of your tangent. So step 2, slope of tangent. Tangent line, call it the tangent line. That's where you just take this slope, you change the sign, and you flip it. So this is actually a negative 3/4. Now you have the slope of your tangent line and a point on that line. That's all you need to write the equation. So step number 3, you're going to write the equation of your tangent line. I'm abbreviating here, okay? So to write the equation, you're going to put it in point slope form. All right? That gives you y2 minus y1 is equal to m times, oh, I said x2. Sorry. That's just a y. So y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. This is point slope form, okay? That means it writes the equation of a line using the point and the slope. So I keep the y, all right? Now remember, the point on my line is 3, 4, and my slope is negative 3/4. I just found that right here, and the 3, 4 comes from the point on my tangent, okay? So, all right, so I use this information. This will be my x1, this will be my y1, and this will be my m. So I have y minus 4 equals negative 3/4 times x minus 3. All right? Then I have to get this y by itself. Okay? So the first thing I'm going to do, though, is I'm going to distribute on this side. Kind of simplify it before I make things worse. So negative 3/4 times x is negative 3/4 x. And negative 3/4 times negative 3 is going to be a positive 9/4. Remember, your calculator will multiply that for you if you cannot. Then you're going to add the 4. So 4 will be added to this number back here. That gives you y equals negative 3/4 x plus 25/4. Again, your calculator will add those two together for you. And that is the equation of the line that is tangent to that circle at that point. A little kind of confusing, but doable. Okay? All right? So these are your steps to find the equation of a tangent. All right? I'm not going to pause on this. Just make sure you write them down. Okay? So I have two more of these, so make sure you're paying attention. You don't have to draw a picture. Remember, you just need, to know the steps. So step number 1 is you're going to find the slope of your radius. So in other words, you kind of have to know what your center is. So let's identify that. So center, okay, and I don't know what this is up here. Let's get rid of that. All right, your center is going to be at positive 1, comma, negative 2. And your radius would be the square root of 25, which is 5. So we're going to find the slope of the radius. All right? Okay, I figured out what that was. 5, comma 5, negative 5, this is the point on your circle that you're tangent at. Okay? So to find the slope, you have to use the center and the point that is on your circle. Okay? So I'm just going to subtract the y's on top. So I've got negative 5 minus negative 2. So negative 5 minus a negative 2 all over 5 minus 1. That's going to give me negative 3 over 4. So this is the slope of my radius, but I just need the slope of the tangent line, which would be the opposite reciprocal of this. So I'm going to take that, change it to a positive, and flip it to 4 over 3. And then step number 3 is I'm going to go ahead and write my equation. So I use that slope, and I use the line that's on my circle that I'm tangent at, which would be the 5, negative 5. And I plug that into slope-intercept, or not slope-intercept form, I'm sorry, point-slope form. So that would be y minus my y. It's a negative 5, so that's going to make this a positive, equals m, which is 4/3, times x minus 5, my x. Then all I have to do is distribute and then move that 5 over. So leave the 5 for now. I'll take 4/3 times x, which is 4/3 x. Then I'll take 4/3 times negative 5. That's going to give me negative 20 over 3. And last but not least, I subtract the 5. That will go with this. So I get y equals 4 over 3x minus 35 over 3. And that is the equation of the line that is tangent to my circle at the point 5, negative 5. So let's do one more example. So here's the equation of my circle. All right, so I've got the equation of my circle. This is the point that I am tangent at on the circle. Okay, so my center, important to know, center is at 0, 0. I don't have anything being added or subtracted to my x and y here in parentheses. And so I need to find the slope of my radius. So I will subtract y's on top. So 5 minus 0. X is on bottom. 2 minus 0. So the slope of my radius is 5/2. To find the slope of the tangent, you just take the opposite reciprocal of that. So that would be a negative 2/5. And then step 3, I'm going to find the equation of that line. So I use the slope of my tangent, which is negative 2/5, and the point that it's tangent at, which is 2, 5, and point slope form to write the equation. So I've got y minus my y, which is 5, equals the slope times x minus my x. Now it's the same process as before. I need to distribute. So that gives me negative 2/5 times x plus, I've got 2/5 and 2, that gives me 4/5 with a double negative. Okay. Then I will add the 5. That gets added to this constant back here. So I end up with y equals negative 2/5 x plus 29/5. That's the equation of the line that is tangent to my circle at the point 2, 5. Okay? Those really aren't that hard. There's just a process, okay, and some formulas to plug in. I think that you guys will be all right.